YouTubers, hopefully everything is going okay for you out there in YouTube land. Well, today we are doing a little bit of battery work, if you will. This old Nissan here has a battery on it that has been on it since 2011. Check that sticker out. It is 2020 and we're at the end of November. The battery's getting pretty weak now. If you crank on it too long, it'll just die. So I went to Walmart. I figured, well, I'll buy me another one with a hot terminal on this side, the positive on this side. But most of them are actually the opposite way around. I didn't want to go ahead and cut cables and everything, so I figured, well, there's a local dealer junkyard here, big truck place. They sell some used batteries, so I figured I'd go out and see what we can find. And found this one for 50 bucks. If I take my other one back, I get a $10 core, so it's only $40. And these are reconditioned and all that. And this is a battery that was built back in 2018, about 2 years ago, and I'm not sure who makes Econocraft, but if anybody knows, let me know. Is it a good battery? Maintenance-free battery. And this one here has a little vents here, it looks like. So we're going to stick this on here, but before we do all that, I do have my tester out here. We're going to put a load on this and see just how weak it is. Like I said, it has some power, but nothing like it should. So let's go ahead and stick this on here. I'll do this with one hand and hold the camera at the same time. I'm doing this now because winter's almost here, and we all know what happened on the first cold winter day. You come out and you crank on it and it doesn't start, and then you don't want to have to do anything after that because it's going to be cold and you're not in a good mood. So I'm doing all this now while it's fairly decent outside. So it says we have about 13 volts there. So let's go ahead and put a load on this. We're going to hold the switch here down and count 10 seconds. And this here is a 700 cold cranking amp battery, so we should still be in the green there when we hit the switch. So let's go ahead and hit this and see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, it's weak. See, it's in the yellow there. Yeah, so it looks like our battery is pretty much seeing better days. Let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and unfortunately there's 10. And look at that, it's down in the bad. It's all the way down there. So yeah, that was my suspicion. It actually failed the other day. It wouldn't start on me. Then I was like, oh no, I gotta call somebody. I didn't have a jump pack with me, but I waited like 10 minutes, and it actually had built up enough charge just to start the vehicle. And I was like, okay, we're done. We're getting another battery. So that's what we're doing today. Now, if you don't have one of these things will tell you the truth how your battery is really doing. So if you do a lot of vehicle work, you might want to get one of these. So let's go ahead and test this battery out. See what we got. It may need charged a little bit. It's been setting overnight. Alright, so we jumped right up there. We're at 13.1 volts. So let's go ahead and hit the switch here. See what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and this is a 600 to 700, 800 cold cranking amp, and we are so good. Good battery. 850 cold, 690. The other number, so it's 850, and we were right about 825 there. It looks like on that switch. So we got a good battery here, and of course, like I said, it's been setting. I think about 2 days because it was sitting where I bought it for about a day, and they had already reconditioned and charged it up. And you can see my probes of smoke in there. So yeah, we're still at, it's like 12.9. We've drawn a little juice out of it. But anyway, that's what we're going to do today. So I just mainly want to make the video to show you sometimes these batteries will last a long time, but I've had some batteries that only last 3 years, so I really can't explain why some batteries last longer than others. It's just the way it is, I guess. So, and this in here was a 3-year free maintenance replaceable battery. Yeah, down at the bottom is what it says. and the sides aren't swelled out. So I just think it's just finally time to give it up. And like I said, there's the date on it, so yep, interesting. Alright, so let's go ahead and switch this out. Alright, so for the most part, this is ready to come off. A little 10mm nut. These are loose. This bracket on this Nissan, you gotta have it, because if this battery moves around, it'll just get slammed right into the power steering. You can bust the radiator. So these have to be on. And I find a lot of times that this gets rusted and broken. You have to fix it or find another bracket for it there. So we'll get this off, take this out, and I think, yeah, see right here how it's rusted? You gotta kind of watch that, but that there's okay for now, it'll last. Get that out of the way. Now we can slide this battery off the side over here, and we'll take it to the terminal off. Now there is a plastic piece here right there that sits on the bottom of that battery. I'm gonna clean that up, put that in there. That keeps that from rusting out. Where a lot of these Nissan has problems on the bottom radiator support here, they rust out, and they rust out here because of the battery acid. So you got to keep this area clean. And now all we got to do is unhook this one cable. All right, this is a 12mm on this one. Of course, your vehicle may be different. Depends on who worked on it before you did. Get this off, and make sure you have the hot one unhooked before you try to touch this right here, because I've seen these things short out. People forget they unhook the ground first. And let's get this out of here. This is a heavy battery. Oh, jeez. Oh. Group 24. It's nice knowing you. You did a good job all these years. And I assume this is the same battery that's been on that Nissan since 2011. So, say goodbye to you and hello, baby. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit before we put all this back together. Alright, so we got this cleaned up a little bit. Now there's 3 little holes on the bottom here, little dimples. That has to go in there a certain way. The battery's nice and clean. Got it all cleaned up. Also, we put some used oil. We wiped it around in there. That really keeps the rust down. That's why I keep all my used oil. You can use it on your frame or whatever on your vehicle. It makes a big difference. Now that that's in, that'll catch any water or acid that gets leaked out into that plastic tray, and we'll keep it from getting on the body and rusting out the Nissan. And now we'll go ahead and set the battery in here. Pretty heavy. I can get this with one hand. Perhaps I can. 10 years from now, I probably won't be able to do this. I'm getting old. Anyway, pretty clean. All cleaned up and everything. And we'll put the hot on the right hand side here. We'll put this in. There we go, perfect. That also helps that battery, keeps it from moving around too. That little plastic cover on the bottom, there's dimples in it, and when you bolt these clamps back down on it, it keeps it in place. So we're good. So yeah, I know, kind of a boring video, but the main purpose was I wanted to show you that this battery lasted all those years. Kind of impressed with that. So moving right along here, a couple of tips. A lot of people don't check these, even though these terminals, if you have one of these type terminals, look good up here. When you flip this over, or even take the top of this off, here is what it looked like. See how rusted that is? Well, that combined with a lot of corrosion on here, you're going to end up with some problems. So this is another one I had. I just cleaned it up, make it nice and shiny, get your pair of vice grips, grip it, get your wire brush, and just clean these up, and then stick all this back together. And before you do that, put a little bit of grease. Doesn't matter what kind of grease you use, just put something on here and clamp this back together. And the other thing I like to do is take a little red paint on the positive side, go ahead and hit that with some red, because you'd be surprised how many times people be nice and friendly, go, oh, I'll give you a jump, and they come out with their cables, they just slap them on, and next thing you know, they got them backwards. If they don't see the red, they probably shouldn't be driving a vehicle. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, so we got this here cleaned up, and now we can go ahead and put the rest of this back together. Just so you know, just make sure you verified, take these off and look at them, make sure they're not all corroded up like that and rusted. Alright, so we got all that together. I'm going to put just a little bit of this lubricant inside this cable harness. I don't know if you can see that, but I got most of the corrosion off. But trust me, just a little bit of this stuff goes a long ways. It'll get down in those wires. and keep corrosion from forming. There we go. So it's the simple little things that'll get you by, especially through the winter months, cold months. If you do it, take care of these batteries now, you shouldn't have no problem. All right, guys, how about that? Another tip, if this is going to be on this side and you got to get a socket over here and there's a chance you can hit this, it's in the way, just pull this bolt and nut out, flip it around, and put it back on this side over here. And you can do the same thing with this if it's a problem, but flip this around and you're good to go. Now, the only thing I got left to do is put this strap in here, and here is the problem I have with the strap. You may have the same problem with yours. You see how this is kind of like stripped out. Yeah, it's like, look at that, I can move it back and forth. So I just went to the parts store and bought one of these guys for $7, a hold down kit. And what's interesting about these, I did not know that they make them out of some kind of hard rubber-like material. Check this out. Yep, this is what our society's coming to. This may actually be pretty good. It'll stretch and hopefully keep it nice and tight. Yeah, I hear you over there. I think we got a hawk loose here somewhere. Anyway, let's see if that goes on there. Yeah, it goes right on there. So we'll put that on there, and that should take care of that. We got a couple of washers that go on top of there. So here are long hookies. They should be about the same size. And the nice thing about this, if you buy a tall battery or a short battery, you got lots of threads here to work with, so you can make those adjustments. And this battery that I just put in is not quite as tall as that. That's something I should have mentioned earlier. You know, you might want to verify, make sure the battery that you're going to be replacing the original battery that's in there, especially if you have this kind of a clamp here. Try to get it pretty close. If not, you may have to go out and buy one of these kits, and this is probably going to be better anyway because I don't have to worry about it ever rusting again or anything like that. So I went through all that trouble painting this, and turned out that ain't going to work there. So anyway, and of course, to make the job a little more interesting, I had to take a pair of vice grips and pull that out. Those were bent too much. I couldn't get them in there. Now they are bent like that. Now they should slide right down in there. I can get it in the hole there. There we go. Perfect. All right. So now we can go ahead and finish this up. All right. So, you know, just when I thought I was finished, I do not like this bracket they sold me. Look at this. You see it bend in there? And I got it tight, and I can still move this battery around. Look at that. I really just needed these hooks. So, you know, I'm just going to use this piece on top of here and just use these hooks. So, you know, I don't know what they were thinking when they made this. Has anybody else had this experience? Look at this. I mean, I thought it would work, but this is just too flexible. And look at that. If you get hit hard, this battery could still fly out of there like a rubber band holding it in. So we're just going to use what I originally had and use these guys here. But we'll still have to trim this down a little bit because these are pretty long. See, this one's not quite as long as this one. So I'll have to kind of trim this off. Then, hopefully, we'll be done. Ugh. All right. You know, putting a battery in, no problem. But this nickel and dime stuff, most important stuff, it took forever. So there we go. I like that much better. It's nice and tight. I got my plastic washers there. Now that battery's secure. I was going to use these, but they don't quite thread on there. So all I got to do now is take my little cutting wheel and cut that off right there. Cut it off about there so those don't grab me. So that's what you got to do sometimes. It looks like we're just about done. I'll take my file and kind of file that down a little bit. There we go. How about that? That's one way to take care of it. All right, we're done. How about that? It ain't going nowhere. So, oh well. That's what you gotta do sometimes. So, all right. So, I guess we'll go ahead and start it up, and we'll test the battery, make sure she's still good, and we'll wrap this video up. So, let me know where you're watching from right now. All right, she's all done. Looks really good. I even painted this terminal black. That one's red. Nice and clean, tight. We're charging, and we're about 14.9 or so volts. Now we'll go shut the car off and we'll put a load on this and make sure we're still within spec. Alright, car's off, and we're about 13.6 or 7 volts there. We're looking good, so let's go ahead and put a load on this thing and see what we got. I'm hoping I can do this one hand here and you guys can see it. There we go. Alright, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looks like we're at 680 or 90 whole cranking amps there. So we're good. Oh, look at that thing. Red is glowing, red hot. So I think we're going to be okay. So this is one way you can get another battery, and it's been about 40 bucks, and lasts just as long as some of the higher brands. So, you know, it's whatever you want to do with your budget. So do this one more time. We're still at 13.9 volts. Get the camera focused there. So let's do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. That brings it down to about 650. So we're good to go. And I'm not sure what was going on here. I mean, really, would you want this holding your battery down? I think not. All right, guys, that's it. So until my next video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.